Welcome to the Savage College Football Podcast. I am Kale Wilson.
And the college football show over on Do Not Go Quietly. This is Eric Wilson. What is up, my brother? Okay. I know that you talked about this, but it is the college football show. And you are holding your Carolina Panthers
I'm sorry.
cup
If you're
while you're wearing your Carolina Panthers shirt.
If you're watching this on Spotify, or if there's even video on
or
Apple
YouTube
Podcasts, or if you're watching this on YouTube, you will see that I'm holding a Carolina Panthers mug and I'm wearing a Carolina Panthers shirt.
Yes, it should be said that if you want to watch this on YouTube, you have to go to my channel because Savage has still not got his YouTube upload jamming yet.
It takes a while, but regardless,
you're kind of like
still listen to it on Spotify and Apple Podcasts on my channel.
So. You're kind of like the old Vanderbilt fans when they would win a game, you know, like, whoa, we won a game.
Look, man,
that's the Panthers right now.
Look, okay. This is the college football show. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but for those of you that don't know, I'm a diehard Carolina Panthers fan, and Eric Wilson will tell you.
Look at the screen and you'll know.
Eric Wilson will tell you that I have been a suffering, delusional Panthers fan basically my entire life.
Yeah, you weren't alive. Like, were you alive when they went to the Super Bowl? When Dom Capers was the head coach?
I think I was alive.
You're like an infant.
Wait, I don't remember if that was the 2001-2002 season or 2002-2003.
It was pretty early. I think it was like their second or third season. Like, but you were probably alive, but you were probably like
obviously I didn't watch football.
You would not have been watching football yet. Actually, you would have been watching football because you were probably sitting on my lap, but you wouldn't have known what you were watching.
Exactly. Yeah. But regardless, that explains how I am the way I am. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I am a longtime suffering Panthers fan. The best I've ever seen is a Super Bowl loss, but I've only seen that once that I can actually remember. We haven't made the playoffs since 2016, so running on a decade. But yeah. So anyways.
And I really literally don't care about the NFL at all.
No, you don't.
Really never have.
You did when you were younger.
When I was like little, yeah, I used to like, because I grew up in Michigan where college football wasn't like the University of Michigan was a huge deal.
Yeah.
But as a whole, people were not into college football like they are in the South where we live.
Yeah.
And so I've lived down here now since I was 22 or 23 years old. And yes, I do not like care about the NFL.
But if you had to pick a team, it would still be the Vikings, right?
It would still be the Vikings just because when I was growing up, like I was really like into Fran Tarkenton, the scrambler.
Yeah.
You know, they had some studs. So yes, if I'm pulling for anybody, it's the Vikings, but like I literally don't pay attention. Also, I kind of like the Vikings because JJ is a quarterback there.
Yeah, JJ McCarthy.
Mm-hmm. And he was a dude. Remember, I think you were there with me, but remember when we went to when we took one of my kids up to Michigan who ended up signing with him. And were you in the locker room when I went up and talked to JJ McCarthy with me?
I remember talking to him. Were we in the locker room? I thought we were where the recruits were at.
We were in the locker room. It was post game.
I don't think I went into the actual locker room.
Yeah, it was post game and he wasn't playing yet. Like
that
he
was
came
probably when I was separated from you when I was on the field storming it.
It probably was. Yeah, it was when they got their first big win against Ohio State at home. It was like 3 or 4 years ago. And they ran the ball down their throat, threw it really well. McCarthy was not started. He started the next year.
Yeah.
But he came in on mop-up duty and I went up to him and I said, dude, because I could just tell by watching him even in there, like he was a dude. I was like, you're going to be the man here. And he was super humble, super nice kid. He was like, I really appreciate that. I hope that works out like that. Like 3 years later, dude's starting for the Vikings.
I remember, it's because I talked with him about 10 minutes later, I think, when I got back in the recruiting area and I spoke with him for a few minutes. He was really nice. Like I told him, like, I can't wait to see you play, stuff like that when you take over. And he was like, thank you so much. Basically the exact same attitude. But yeah, no, the reason that I came in here with my Panthers mug and stuff like that was because yesterday we played the Dolphins down 17-0, tied for the largest comeback in franchise history. We ended up winning 27-24 with a Mitchell Evans rookie from Notre Dame touchdown in the 2-minute warning.
What's the Dolphins record right now?
They had the same record as us going in. That's all you need to know.
Okay.
They were 1-3, and their one win is over the 0-4 Jets.
Quality
0-5 Jets.
Quality ball club right there, ladies and gentlemen.
To be fair, I feel like the reason we beat the Dolphins is because I'm not going to show you the picture, but in Monday Night Football, when they beat the Jets, Tyreek Hill had a very, very, very gruesome leg injury.
Yeah, I don't want to see it.
Yeah, no, you don't. Regardless, though, happy Panthers fan, 2-3. I can't remember the last time we were that good, and the fact that we still have a losing record, and I said that good shows you how much pain I'm in. The only fans that are in more pain than me, I feel like at this point, are Browns and Jets fans. But yeah, regardless. So yeah, happy Panthers fan. That's why I'm wearing my Panthers stuff. And then, if Xavier Worthy plays well tonight, I might win my first fantasy football game of the season after going 0-4.
Well, for those of you who have not followed the podcast in the past, this is not a surprise. Kale is terrible at fantasy football. He almost always comes in last in his fantasy football league. So the fact that you're 0-4 surprises me absolutely not.
Okay, to be fair, this is not my fault because of injuries. I have CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson.
You always have a
AJ
reason
Brown.
why you suck.
No, this is actually not my fault. CeeDee Lamb has been out for a long time.
Okay.
And then the last thing, didn't you used to play fantasy football? But the way you did it was so much different.
No, I never played fantasy football. Well, so I never played fantasy football. They didn't have fantasy football when I was growing up, and I never got into drafting teams. And can you please turn your beeper off on your phone?
Oh, I thought that was yours.
No.
My apologies.
No, dude, when I was growing up, there was no internet. So what we used to do was there was this thing. We're on such a tangent right now, but there was this thing called Beat Becker.
Just letting you know, this is the most we'll be talking about NFL probably all year until the Super Bowl happens or college football.
I'm going to put a bow on it right now. But there was this thing called Beat Becker. Bob Becker was the sports beat writer for the Grand Rapids Press. And every week he would put all the college games that were going to get played on Saturday, and then he would choose who was going to win. And then you could cut that out of the paper. There was a box next to each team. And then you would check the box on who you thought was going to win. And if you beat him, you got a bumper sticker that said, "I beat Becker." And if you were the guy who really smoked him, then they sent you a t-shirt. So I had a bunch of bumper stickers and I think one t-shirt. That was the deal. There was no fantasy football. Oh, I beat Becker.
Because for some reason, I thought you had told me that you guys would always write down, add up, if you had a catch or if your guy had a tackle or something.
I think the guys that did it that way, that's how they used to do it. They had to manually keep track of it. There was no apps or anything to do it for you.
I just remember the time you said you would be with your friends and you guys would go to Arby's and just.
Yeah, those nerds would do some of those guys did it. I never got into it. I was too much work.
The last thing that I will talk about NFL.
8 minutes in, we're still talking about the NFL.
No, this is the last thing, and I told you this before we started recording because you actually found this pretty funny. Your Minnesota Vikings won yesterday against I forgot who they beat, honestly, at this point, because that's how much. Oh, they beat the Browns.
Yay.
But wide receiver Jordan Addison came back after being out for multiple weeks. It had the game-winning touchdown, but benched the entire first quarter. Why? Because he decided to go explore London and skip practice and leave the team.
I support Mr. Addison for that. London is a beautiful city, and I would want to explore it as well. And he still caught the game-winning touchdown. And
he made up for it.
Seems like it did all right.
All right. So now that we are gotten all that out of the way,
college ball.
Let's talk some college football.
Yeah, that's right.
So
where are we starting?
That's a good question. Where should we start? Because there was I
have a question for you.
Oh Lord, what
is the U back?
Oh, you're asking me this?
Yes, I figured I'd flip the tables because I knew you were going to ask me at some point.
Because I would ask you this, and you would always say, "Not yet."
Are they back?
I mean, I've been saying this the last few weeks.
You've
been the one in denial.
I've been in denial?
You've been saying, "No, they're not back. They're not back."
All right, so here's what I would say.
So is that what we're talking about, Miami FSU
yes,
first?
Let's talk about Miami FSU first. So I will start here.
By the way, if you're watching.
Yes. Okay, hold on. I'm talking. So I think it's just showing me. So now here we go. Yes, we're showing the U very prominently. Okay, so here's what I would say. FSU's inability, even though they rushed for 132 yards, it certainly didn't feel like it. Castellanos was 25 for 42, 272 yards, but he threw 2 picks. Dude, Carson Beck was efficiently sick. 20 for 27, 9 yards per, but like 4 touchdowns. And a couple of those throws, I don't remember seeing him look like that. I mean, I know he made some good throws at Georgia, but he looks significantly better than he did last year. Thoughts?
As a Georgia fan, that
unbiased
hurts me to say.
thoughts.
No,
Unbiased
as a Georgia fan,
Georgia
that
fan.
hurts me to say.
I know, but let's talk reality.
He is a very good player. I will say that. And he does not look anything like he did at Georgia. And I want to preface this. I want to say this. When he was at Georgia, I'm not saying he was bad. He wasn't bad. He had a few weeks where he didn't look good, but overall, his time at Georgia, he was pretty good.
Yeah, he was pretty good. Yeah.
But now
he's much better.
He's a lot better than pretty good.
Significantly.
Could you honestly say that you could put him in the race for the Heisman?
I think so. Yeah. I think you probably could. I mean, the way that he looked the other night, the command of the offense that he had the other night, a couple of those throws, like he dropped a couple dimes. The throw that I'm trying to think, I think it was it towards the end of the first half? The one that he threw to gosh dang it. To Malachi
I don't think
Tony.
Gosh dang it is on the roster.
I know. Okay, so Malachi Tony runs this route, right? He's in the slot, and he runs basically like a corner post route, right? He drives on the safety, gets on the safety's toes, kind of. This dude's got some serious freaking skills. Sticks his inside foot.
A freshman, by the way.
True freshman. Sticks his inside foot in the ground, right, and throws a head to the corner, pulls the safety off the hash, and then sticks the outside foot back in and runs a skinny post. And the backside safety couldn't get over in time, but it wasn't like he was 10 feet open, and Beck just like dropped that thing right in the freaking hole. Like it was a great throw.
Yeah, it was.
He looked really good.
Another thing that looked really awesome that I wanted to talk about, one of his touchdown passes to CJ Daniels, 24-yard pass to put the Canes up 28-3. That play meant a lot, I feel like, to a lot of college football fans for multiple reasons. So one, if you were watching it on TV, when CJ Daniels scored the touchdown, he went up into the camera and he was saying from the camera, yeah, mocking the tomahawk chop.
Yeah.
And then which was pretty cool, especially in a rivalry game on the road. But then coming from a more deeper, serious level, if you paid attention, CJ Daniels was wearing eye black that was honoring the late Kyron Lacey from LSU, who unfortunately, I don't remember if it was earlier this year, if it was last year, who committed suicide, rest in peace. But I felt like that was something that was.
Did they play together in high school, or what was the connection?
CJ Daniels transferred from LSU.
Okay, gotcha.
So they did play together when he was there. And for those of you that haven't kept up with that, like the reason that lots of the people think the reason that he did it was because he was convicted in a hit and run case, and people thought that he was responsible for it, for the death of someone in the hit and run. But video evidence recently surfaced in the last year that when the crash happened, he was 100 yards behind it. And so he didn't have anything to do in part of the crash, but everyone thought that he was guilty. And I have a feeling.
You talking about Daniels or Lacey?
I'm talking about Lacey.
Okay.
And I have a feeling that the reason he may have ended
the stress of all that
life was because everyone thought he was guilty, even though he said multiple times he was innocent. And I don't even think his lawyer believed him until the evidence just surfaced out in the last week.
What was that, like a camera that was like on a building or something that they found?
A camera on the highway.
Gotcha.
So, yeah,
that's sad. Anytime somebody gets to the point where they feel like there's nothing that they can do, that they're better off not being alive, like that always makes me feel terrible for those that they didn't have somebody they could reach out to, or somebody that they could like lean on when they feel like that. It
also makes me feel even worse that it's now proven that he was innocent.
Yeah.
So like,
well, I think when somebody gets to that point, it's not just a singular event that caused it, but it probably didn't help. So he was wearing the eye black for Lacey. That was Beck's fourth touchdown of the game.
Now,
right?
yeah, and it was crazy because Miami was up 28-3.
Yeah.
And Florida State scored 19 points in the fourth quarter and shut out Miami in the fourth quarter. Now, I want to say this. I don't want to preface this by saying, oh, this game was a lot closer than the score looked, because honestly, the game was a lot more of a blowout than it shows on the score.
Yeah,
because
it really was.
Florida
if you look at the score, you'd think it was a fairly close game. If Florida State had this game under control the entire time.
Miami did.
Miami. Sorry, I misspoke.
Florida State, though, as Kirk Herbstreit was talking about multiple times, like in the broadcast, obviously they're probably not going to come back and win this game, but they never gave up, and they had so much trouble getting that offense going 3.5 quarters, but they kept trying to find a way, and honestly, they scored 16 points, so they had 2 touchdowns, 2 2-point conversions, and then they got a field goal, and then they just didn't get to recover the onside kick, but it was still good to see that Florida State never gave up, and you could still see that they were fighting till the very last second of the game.
Yeah, it was just a little too late. They didn't have enough time. But and if you're on the other side of the coin, right? If you're Miami, there's some concern there, right? Like, you come out, you dominate the football game, you play so well, and then you kind of take the gas off. And
Florida State gets back into it almost.
You think you've got the whole thing under control. If you're going to be a national championship football team, you've got to be able to finish those games, put your feet on somebody's neck, and end it, and not let teams get back into stuff.
Yeah, and I feel like the players just thought that because of the deficit was so big and how much they had dominated, that they thought they were just going to win, and they didn't have to put 100% effort into it, because you could see that Mario Cristobal was getting frustrated, and he was still yelling at his team, while they were up 28-3, hey, we can't let this first down happen. We gotta stay on top of everything. We still got to play like it's the first quarter. And I guess the players just thought, oh, well, we got this game in the bag, and Florida State came back and made it a game. And honestly, I don't know if you saw the new rankings, but Florida State is number 25. I feel like that right there is the reason why they're still ranked. Because if they weren't able to come back and score that much, even though they lost,
they would have fallen out.
They would have fallen out completely.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I've heard Saban talk about this before. I've coached a lot of championship teams. That's something teams have to learn, right? There's kind of a progression of teams when they're good. And it's like, you go from getting beat in close games, you go to winning close games. And then when you get to the point where you start dominating people, the hard part is 2 different things. A, not taking that performance for granted while you're in it, like Miami did last week. And then B, not taking the win for granted and thinking, okay, when you line up against a team that you're superior to the following week or 2 weeks later, that you're just going to roll them, because you're looking 2 weeks down the road to somebody that's ranked in the top 10 or whatever. And so that's a maturity thing. And, Cristobal, knowing him, they will probably get coached this week like they lost, even though they won. Right. You got to coach that hard so that the next time it happens, that's the first thing in those kids' minds is don't take your foot off the gas. So,
especially also that in a rivalry game too, that's a pretty big rivalry game. And obviously that you can never really expect what to happen in a rivalry game like that, because, Miami, Florida State, for those that haven't been watching college football that long, people take that rivalry really seriously, at least in Florida.
Oh, yeah. The thing too is if you're a young college football fan, you don't remember, but back in the 90s, that was the game. Miami was the U. Florida State was winning national championships with Bobby Bowden, had Charlie Ward, all the studs, and literally those were 2 of the best teams in the entire country. And so when they played each other, it was a freaking war.
Yeah,
and they still feel like that internally. Even though people don't look at it nationally the same way, that's what it feels like internally.
So many players in that rivalry, that were big names. For Florida State, Charlie Ward, Deion Sanders. For Miami, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, Michael Irvin.
Yeah, Michael Irvin was on the sideline the other day just going nuts. Did you see him?
He's
all
on
over
the
the
sideline
place.
for nearly every Miami game. And I mean, I don't blame him because he's not playing football anymore. So what is there better to do? I mean, he's not like he has to work. He's got millions of dollars. So at this point, he's just like the Miami unofficial mascot.
It's actually good though, because the one thing that, and I can't remember which head coach it was, but at one point a few years ago, there was a head coach that like didn't want the old Miami players on the sideline.
Was that Al Golden?
It might have been. I can't remember who it was, but he discouraged them from coming down on the sideline during games, which is like,
because it definitely wasn't Mark Richt, right?
No, I don't think it was Rick, but I can't remember who it was. But if you know what the U, like, so back when they said we're the U, right? Miami was the most intimidating football team in the country.
I remember, yeah, because I remember a few weeks ago you said this, like,
they would get off.
Was if you were if they were the visiting team and they walked in the stadium, you'd still crap yourself.
They would get off the bus with fatigues, like literally, they were like thug nasty. Ed Reed, like this was before all the rules about targeting. I mean, they would bring the pain, and so I think having guys like Irvin and guys that like played on those teams around has a big impact, because the reason that like every week you said the U is back, I've been like, no. Okay. I'm still not ready to say they're the U yet. But the thing that's keeping me from saying no is I saw flashes on Saturday of what they used to be like. Like
that defensive front is insane.
The defensive front
and Wesley Basaint.
Those guys are crazy.
I mean, Bain's the number one prospect in the draft next year. That should tell you something. When was the last time the number one prospect in the draft came from Miami? Probably when they were actually the U. Well, yeah. Cam Ward last year, but that was a quarterback, and that was like a one-time thing because he was a transfer. Bain has been full with Miami since his college career started. So Mario Cristobal is doing a pretty good job there.
Well, too, I mean, if you saw like defense, like Jacoby Thomas, like number 8, the DB, he came up. There's a lot of swagger on that football team right now.
Swagger.
Right? That's why I'm saying like they look kind of like they're back. I'm not ready to say they are. I want to see some more quality wins, but they're playing with a high level of confidence that I have not seen them play with in a long time.
They haven't looked this good since Stephen Morris, or Stemo, was the quarterback.
Stemo, throw the ball, Stemo, damn it. Get it out of your hand. Stemo, throw the touchdown.
All right. So that was a pretty big rivalry win. Now, so Miami, they have a bye week. I feel like that's pretty good after a big rivalry week like that. And then they host a team they've struggled with as of recent, Louisville. They played Louisville last year, and they won by one possession in a high-scoring affair. Louisville's 4-1, but they look pretty good.
Yeah, Louisville's a good football team, so that will be a test for Miami.
And then Florida State is hosting Pitt. Again, not nearly to a team of that caliber, but Pitt's coming off a 48-7 victory over Boston College. So that's a Pitt Panthers team that's got momentum. And Florida State, if you want any chance of trying to make an ACC title game or anything like that, your schedule favors you. So there's still like your playoff chances aren't completely out of the water, but you can't come into this game against Pitt taking things lightly, because now you got to have your foot on the gas the rest of the year.
Yeah. Agreed.
Let's talk about another.
Where shall we jump now?
Well, there's two teams that I feel like we could talk about. We could talk about the preseason number 1 team, the Texas Longhorns, or the preseason number 2 team, the Penn State Nittany Lions. Now, before we talk about either of these teams, I have a little sound effect I want to.
I love the savage sound effects. Let's go.
There's a sound effect that I think describes both of these programs right now, and let's just go ahead and talk about it. And let's just go ahead and listen.
This is a long one. I thought you were going to play a toilet flushing or like someone taking a dump.
No.
Any of them would be appropriate.
Because both of these teams started out with such high expectations, and they literally have just been crashing and sliding down the road.
Where do you go? Which you pick? I don't even know.
I think Penn State deserves more of Penn State deserves more of this talk, because here's why. because Texas did look bad this past weekend, and they did lose to Florida, who they shouldn't have lost to. But Florida at least had a win on their under their belt.
Yeah,
UCLA didn't.
No, UCLA was 0-4 coming into this game.
This was supposed to be a bounce back game for
Penn State.
Yeah, and we talked about that last week. We literally said UCLA is going to go 0-12. UCLA is going to go 0-12. Penn State can't win big games, but they'll win this one. They'll beat UCLA.
But UCLA's got so they had a lot. They fired their head coach, right? So they had an interim head coach, and I don't know whether people listening to this podcast know who Rick Neuheisel was, but Rick Neuheisel, who now does radio and TV, used to be the head coach of UCLA. Before that, he was one of the top offensive coordinators in the country. His son was the play caller for the game on Saturday for UCLA. He had been a position coach, got elevated to the play caller, will probably now become the offensive coordinator. They carried him off the field after the game. And also, Nico went off. Nico he was 17 for 24, 2 touchdowns, didn't throw any interceptions. And then UCLA, dude, rushed for 280 yards against Penn State. Where is Penn State's freaking defense? They were atrocious.
Penn State's defense was at least playing decent against Oregon.
Oh, yeah, they were terrible last week.
Oh, I know.
I mean, UCLA just abused them like a redheaded stepchild. Which I used to have when I had hair, I had red hair, so I can throw that joke out there.
That's an interesting insult to throw out there, but that just kind of proves how interesting. That just kind of proves how bad the defense was, just performance overall.
I mean, Drew Aller for Penn State was 19 for 26, but he only threw for 200 yards. He averaged 7.7 yards per completion. And then Penn State had 157 yards rushing. So they had 357 yards of total offense. But in terms of, I think, how many did they have? Let's see. They fumbled it once. Aller didn't throw any interceptions. So they only turned it over one time. But the deal was that freaking UCLA just abused him on offense.
So do you want to hear something?
Yeah.
That you will
give it up.
That you will laugh at?
Yeah.
All right. Tim Skipper. He's the interim head coach for UCLA right now. Yeah. He took over after
he is the skipper.
Deshaun Foster was fired
when
UCLA got blown out by New Mexico.
Yeah. Let's remember this, people. UCLA was 0-4.
They lost to Northwestern the week before.
How bad did New Mexico beat them?
35-10.
New Mexico beat them 35-10.
Not trying to disrespect New Mexico. That's still a D1 football team. But if
you're
a Power 4 football team,
it's New Mexico.
You play in the Rose Bowl. You have no business losing to a Group of 5 team, any Group of 5 team, by 25 points in your own stadium.
No,
or in general, even if it was at New Mexico.
Penn State does not know who they are right now.
So here's the stat I wanted to tell you. Okay, Tim Skipper has coached 2 games as the interim head coach at UCLA.
Mm-hmm.
He is 8-8 overall because he was 7-7 as the interim head coach at Fresno State.
Okay.
So he's coached, but at UCLA he's coached 2 games as the head coach.
Okay.
At Penn State, James Franklin has coached 186 games.
He's been at Penn State that long, huh?
Now get this.
That's wild.
Tim Skipper is now tied with James Franklin with career top 10 wins against a Big Ten opponent.
Well, we know that James Franklin's record against ranked teams is just atrocious. We talked about this before. It's terrible. That's what I said. Okay, how long is Nittany Nation going to be okay with Penn State beating teams they're supposed to beat and not being able to beat really good teams? Well, I don't know the answer to that question, but I know they're not going to put up with this for very long. He's got enough built-in, gravitas to survive a bad season. But if he has a bad season this year, he'll be on the hot seat going into next year. Because Penn State needs they want to be competing for national championships, not losing to 0-4 football teams at home.
So it was really interesting because, you know, I wasn't keeping up much with this game because in the noon slate, since South Carolina had a bye week, for those that don't know, one of my part-time gigs is I do post-game shows for South Carolina games.
So you finally got to go somewhere.
So I finally got to go somewhere since the Gamecocks had an off week. I went to the Georgia-Kentucky game with one of my best friends, Luke Mays, and we were leaving. And, you know, because I was driving.
You have friends now.
Okay. Shout out to Luke.
You're moving in the right direction. I'm so proud of you. Carry on.
We're in the car. You know, I had a game up on the dashboard on my phone, but I wasn't looking at the phone like crazy, and I was just listening. And Luke was checking all the scores, and he just tells me, you know, he told me Penn State was struggling or whatever, but then he just says, UCLA just beat Penn State. And I said, what? He goes, and Luke just says, big game James is at it again.
Yeah. It was bad.
And we basically just said, James Franklin's not going to make it back to college what is it? Is it College Park or not College Park? State College. State College alive. Yeah. If they lost that game. And that man probably has all of his doors barricaded, trying to keep people from breaking in, because that man's probably wanted dead or alive right now.
Dude, I've lost games like that before. Like, not very many of them, but I've been involved in a couple losses like that where you shouldn't lose.
Shouldn't even be a game.
Like, and it's brutal. Like, afterwards, it's not fun. Luckily for me, the worst one I was ever involved in was at the end of the season. But
which game was that?
I was coaching at Murray State, and we were playing Indiana State, and we were 9-2. Had just lost the conference championship game by like 3 points. And we were waiting to find out whether we were going to get into this time. We were 1AA, right? FCS.
Yeah, they still are FCS.
Yeah. And we were waiting to see if we were going to get into the playoffs. And we went to play Indiana State, who I think was 4-7 at the time. And our kids just thought they were going to roll. Like, honestly, we thought we were going to roll. Like, they weren't a very good football team. And my starting right tackle got hurt the week before, and the guy that subbed for him normally was also hurt, and I had to play a true freshman at right tackle, and he was terrible. We just got like abused physically up front. Our defense played like crap. They hung 60 on us.
What was the final? Do you remember?
I think it was like 60 something to like 40 or like low 40s.
Oh,
but they just abused us, like, in a way that I never thought. Like, we had been playing good football teams all year. We were 9-2, and we got our freaking butts handed to us.
Was that the year that y'all played Wisconsin, or was that the year that y'all played BYU?
The year we played BYU.
And wasn't BYU good that year?
Yeah, BYU.
And y'all competed with them.
BYU was ranked in the top 10. We went out to Provo, and we were either beating them or we were down by like 3 at halftime. Like, we were like punching nose to nose with them.
It was a good game.
Yeah, they ended up beating us something like 37-23 or something, but we competed with them
for
the top 10 football team.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
that put the FCS on notice.
That was a perfect example of a game, like, just like we were talking about earlier, walking into a game that your kids just think they're going to like walk through, you know, and not being ready to play.
And that's the thing with college football. Any given Saturday, anyone can beat anyone. And the thing you got to remember is it doesn't matter if you're a top 10 team and the team you're playing is winless. These kids are still D1 football players.
Yeah.
And they got recruited for a reason.
Yep.
And even if you're 0-4, you still got talent on that team. So you can't go into any game, no matter what ranking you are, thinking that it's going to be an easy win, because of college football, anything can happen at any given time.
Yeah. So let's talk about Texas. Let's talk about our other one, right?
Oh, boy. So Billy Napier,
dude,
his seat has maybe cooled off for about a week.
He cooled himself off with that win for a little. Like, but this is what Billy Napier does every year, right? Every year they get their freaking rear ends handed to him at the beginning of the year. Everyone thinks he's going to get fired, and then he goes on a run and wins like 7 out of 8 games and beats a couple teams he shouldn't beat.
Can we talk about how, though, even though they won the game, Florida had terrible clock management?
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
That was abysmal going into the half.
They put themselves into a position at the end of the game where Texas should not even have gotten the ball back.
No.
And the fact that they got the ball back and got a chance to make a run and actually win the football game, like he might have gotten fired after that game if they lost.
Oh,
just because of that.
So I've mentioned him before. If you're a regular podcast listener, you know one of my best friends, Riley Gwilliam. He's a Florida fan. I get a text from him. Florida is winning against Texas. Riley is a certified Billy Napier hater. He texted me saying, "I've never been so angry to be beating a top 10 team in my life."
What point did he text you? At the fourth when Texas got the
ball back? It was at halftime.
Oh, at halftime.
But it's just like, but he still wasn't super happy at the end of the game. It's just like, we won, but at what cost? Because now I have to put up with Billy Napier for longer.
Here's a few interesting stats, right? Just to kind of look at the box score. So DJ Lagway for Florida was 21 of 28 for 298 yards. And then
he had an interception.
Yeah, he had one pick, 2 touchdowns. And then Florida also rushed for another 159 yards. Jaden Baugh had 107. So total offense, Florida had close to they had 450 yards like total offense against what was Texas ranked at the time? 9 against the so-called number 9 team in the country. Texas, on the other hand, an anemic 52 yards rushing. I mean, they could not put a rushing game together to save their life, bro.
Guess who the leading rusher was?
Arch Manning.
With how many yards? 37.
Yeah, like
on 15 carries.
Dude, when your leading running back rushes for 11 yards, that you are a one-dimensional football team.
But this was a tale of this was the tale of the game. The week leading into it, both of these teams had not played good offensively, but they both had good defenses. We've been talking about all season how Florida has been terrible on offense, but their defense has been legit. Florida has always had a good defense.
Yeah.
When they played LSU, DJ Lagway threw 5 interceptions.
Yeah.
LSU only put up 20 points. Now, and technically, they only put up 13 because one of the picks was a pick 6.
Yeah.
So their defense only gave up 13 points. Their defense did a phenomenal job keeping them in the game on the road in a night game at Death Valley.
Yeah. No, there's no question. But a lot of people, I think, at the time didn't give Florida that much credit. And basically, that was when everyone was really down on LSU's performance, which, granted, LSU should have
won the game
with 5 touchdowns. But there's some credit that goes to the Florida defense for being able to manage that and keep them in the game still.
Now, for Florida, let's talk about this amazing receiver, Dallas Wilson, dude.
Dude, that guy's
freshman,
a freaking stud.
6 receptions, 111 yards, 2 touchdowns. Did you see one of those touchdowns he had where he broke like 4 tackles?
Yeah. He averaged
and somehow
19
stayed
yards
in
receiving.
bounds. Dude, I
couldn't believe he stayed in bounds.
Erupted.
That kid's like, between him and that freshman receiver over at Miami, that's like 2 legit, like, couple of best receivers in the country.
You got to think Florida has the tools to have a competent offense, but they don't.
I mean, maybe they're going to grow into their offense, right?
This is what Billy Napier did last year, though. But things don't get any easier for them as they are on the road this week against number 5 Texas A&M.
Yeah,
and Kyle Field's a hard place to play.
That is a hard place to play. You know, Arch Manning was 16 for 29, 263 yards. He threw 2 touchdowns and 2 picks. So there's kind of 2 sides to this Arch Manning thing, right? Like, everyone's super down on him. But let me just tell you something. If you can't run the football, like, this is his first year as a starting quarterback in the SEC. And everyone's been expecting him to come in and just be like the savior quarterback at Texas. Unrealistic expectation in this conference as a first-time starter. I don't care how good you're going to be. And that kid's going to be a really good player. Like, his pocket presence is really good. But couple things. They really struggled to protect him, right? Florida was in his freaking jock the entire game. And the fact that they couldn't run the football gave Florida the opportunity to just like pin their ears back and bring a lot of pressure.
With how much trouble he had, and the fact that Arch Manning did throw 2 interceptions, he did a good job of keeping them in the game. Like, because he made it a 1-score game, and he would still try to answer. He would answer when it looked like Florida was just pulling away. He would keep the game interesting. And here's the thing. Arch Manning didn't ask for this hype. He didn't. I mean,
no, he's a pretty reserved kid. Like, he's not a guy who's out there like looking for attention.
And people were saying, "Oh, well, did you see the high school competition he played against?" Well, guess what? He can't help that. I mean, people were saying, "Oh, did you see the kids he played against in high school? They looked like 7th graders." Okay, well, what do you expect Arch Manning to do? Go easy on them? I mean, he played well in high school. He had a high recruiting profile, and people were knocking on the competition. Well, what else are you supposed to do? Just let the other team beat you? Play like crap on purpose? I mean, he did what he was supposed to do, and he just got a bunch of hype around him because his last name is Manning. If his name was Arch Lewis or Arch Smith, he wouldn't have half the amount of hype coming into this season as he did, because his last name was Manning and his uncles were Eli and Peyton Manning. That's just how it was.
Yeah. The other thing I would say too is like that whole argument about who you played against. I can tell you, like, I could give you a list of guys that I've coached or been on the team with at the college level in the SEC that played at little pissant schools and didn't have great competition and were all Americans and played 10 years in the NFL. That doesn't matter, like whether they played against like big competition 5A high schools or medium competition. Like,
a prime example of
it
that.
Doesn't matter.
A prime example of that is Jordan Birch. He played at Hammond. Which is, for those that don't know, is a private school in South Carolina. Hammond, for the most part, dominates their conference. They've won 8 straight state titles, and they're probably going to win a 9th. They lost their first game 2 weeks ago against a conference opponent for the first time since 2020.
Yeah.
That's very rare. And the team that beat them has a wide receiver committed to ETSU. They've got a cornerback with 12 D1 offers, and he's got an offer from Montana State. For those that don't pay attention to FCS, Montana State's a premier FCS program, like top 5. Very good.
Yeah.
So, and that was very rare. Again, Hammond lost in 2025 to a conference opponent for the first time in 5 years. Extremely rare. And so when Jordan Birch was playing at Hammond, he wasn't playing against amazing competition unless they played non-conference competition. But he still went and played at South Carolina and played at Oregon, had a great career, and now Jordan Birch is playing for the Arizona Cardinals and getting playing time. So the competition you face in high school doesn't mean anything, because you can play crappy competition in high school and still go and play in the NFL and be a great player. It doesn't matter. So this argument, again, going back to your point of who you play against in high school, doesn't mean anything.
No, it really doesn't mean anything. I mean, I've seen that happen over and over and over. I mean, Deuce Staley was like played at Airport High School here in Columbia, South Carolina. Then he went to a junior college. So he only played for 2 years at Carolina, and no one even knew who he was. And then he ended up playing in the NFL for like 10 years and was one of the best backs in the NFL. Like, that happens all over the place. So I know it's a little bit of a tangent, but people that say that stuff don't know anything. They don't know what they're talking about. All they're looking for is something to complain about. The reality of it is a couple things. So it's not like Arch Manning was perfect. There were a number of times where he should have gotten the ball and just thrown it out of bounds. He took some sacks he should not have taken. That was my biggest complaint about him, not the interceptions. Like, he missed on a couple throws, but he had people in his face all night long. Like, Florida got pressure on him big time. And Texas's inability to run the football was why Florida could do that. If you can run the football, they can't sit there and blitz you all day long. Those defensive ends can't pin their ears back and rush the quarterback, because if they do, you're just going to kick them out on counters and kick them out on power plays and run the C gap. Well, Texas couldn't run the ball to save their freaking life. And so when that happens, the defense can just pin their ears back, rush the quarterback, and then it doesn't matter how good your quarterback is. If they've got somebody in their ear all day long, they're not going to perform well.
We're starting to see common themes here on, if you can't run the ball, it doesn't matter who you play in the SEC, you're going to lose.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that when we get to the week 7 portion, because I don't want to spend too much more time on week 6. But a couple games that I did want to just bring back up again. So Alabama, number 10, beats number 16 Vanderbilt 30-14. And okay, for those that didn't watch this game, it sounds like Alabama ran away with it. No, they didn't. Vanderbilt competed.
Vanderbilt's a good football team.
Alabama scored a touchdown with, I think, 2 minutes left to try to run up the score. And I think that was just because they lost to them last year. but it should have been a 9-point win for Alabama.
Yeah, it should have been a 23-14 game. They scored right at the end. I will say this. I think this was a game worth bringing up because Ty Simpson arguably is one of the best quarterbacks in the country right now.
Wow. That's a huge turnaround from what you said after week 1.
No, I didn't pick on him in week 1.
No, but you picked on Alabama just in general.
Yeah, so what did I say about Alabama?
They didn't play good, and they looked like they were going to come in there and walk all over the field because FSU was 2-10 the year prior.
But why was Alabama struggling? What did I say?
They did horrible in the trenches.
And they couldn't run the football.
No.
Right? Now, Ty Simpson's still slinging it, but Alabama had almost 150 yards rushing the other day. And Jam Miller, dude.
He's a stud, man.
Like, if you look at that guy in a uniform, he looks like a freaking gladiator. Like, his freaking, like, he is jacked, rocked up. He's got huge shoulders, huge legs. His freaking arms are like they're chiseled out of freaking stone. That guy is a stud.
You know who else is a stud?
Who?
Jeremy Bernard.
Yeah, he's a stud.
That kid's awesome. He only had 2 touchdowns last year. I don't know exactly how many he has this year. I'm going to look. But that man, he first started out his career at Washington. Then he transferred to Michigan State for a year. Then transferred to Bama. Had an okay season last year. But, man, that Jeremy Bernard is a stud. I feel like people pay way too much attention to Ryan Williams when it comes to receiver. But that man, Bernard, is looking real good. He has a total of, let's see here, real quick before.
You're looking at his season totals right now?
Yeah, because he had 82 yards. He's already got 5 touchdowns, 392 receiving yards.
And he had 5 catches. He averaged 16.5 yards per catch. That was one of the other things, too, that really helped Alabama is they had a lot of big plays. Like Bernard's, I think he had 5. Yeah, he had 5 receptions for 82 yards. Ryan Williams had 6 for 98 yards. Both of them averaged 16.5 yards per reception. And Isaiah Horton had 4 catches for 66 yards, averaged 16.5 yards per reception. I mean, that's one of the reasons why when you look at Simpson, he was 23 for 31, 340 yards. But they had so many big plays, dude. Like, that was what killed Vanderbilt, was they couldn't stop the big play.
They also couldn't score in the red zone. And one of the things that we saw that we had never seen before from Diego Pavia was, remember when they got in the end zone and he did fumble, but the thing that really surprised me the most was when he tried to force that pass to Eli Stowers. They were inside, I think, the 15.
Yeah, and he threw, yeah.
And we had never seen Pavia do that any time before this. He'd thrown picks before, but never tried to force it.
Yeah, he was pressing a little bit.
And I don't know.
But I thought Ty Simpson was super poised.
Yeah.
Really managed the game. Now, again, this comes back to what I said in week 1. Alabama is like, it's hard to be a good football team in the SEC if you can't run the ball.
No,
right?
Yeah, it is.
That's what we just talked about with Texas, their inability to run the football. Well, Alabama's figuring out how to run the football, which takes pressure off and allows Simpson to get to those weapons out there between Bernard and Williams on the edges.
A couple more top 25 wins that I want to go over, and we won't spend much time on these. I just wanted to talk about them. Texas Tech, 35-11, number 11 Texas Tech, winning big on the road against Houston. We talked about that last week, how if Houston would be able to compete with the big boys. I don't know if it's either Houston, we just gave them too much credit, or if Texas Tech is just going to be that good.
We won't know until we watch them both play a little bit more.
Exactly. Right? Number 14, Iowa State suffers their first loss on the road, 38-30 to Cincinnati. That caught me by surprise.
Yeah,
I wasn't expecting that at all.
Yeah,
especially Iowa State's got a good defense.
Yeah, that was a surprising loss. So, but it seems like every time Iowa State goes 5-0 or 4-0 and wins a bunch of games, they slip and lose to a couple teams they shouldn't. That's always kind of what keeps them out of being in the Big Ten championship and being able to compete at national levels. They lose to teams they shouldn't lose to, even when they've got a good football team.
Yeah, the Big 12 championship, you mean?
Yeah, Big 12.
Well, they should most likely bounce back because they're on the road this week at 2-4 Colorado. So,
yeah. Texas A&M, Mississippi State, the 2 really good football teams, but dude, A&M dominated.
They look good on defense, man. We were wondering about the defensive side of the ball when they gave up 40 points to Notre Dame or something like that, but they've been getting better on defense every week, dude.
I mean,
Mississippi State's got a good offense.
Yeah, well, they held Mississippi State to, I think, like a little over 200 yards of total offense. They had 142 yards rushing, 70-something yards passing. Like, I think they had 210 yards of total offense. On the other side of the coin, do you know how many yards Texas A&M rushed for? I'm again backing up my statement of you have to be able to run the football in the SEC to be a good football team.
Total or just by their leading rusher?
Total rushing yards.
I'm going to go 200.
303
Holy
rushing yards.
Crap.
Ruben Owens rushed for 142 by himself.
Shout out to Ruben Owens. That's a Savage Squad member. Follow
Savage Squad
College
member.
Football.
And then you had 5 other guys who had at least 20 yards rushing, but like 3 of them had over almost 40. So 303 total yards offense. And then Marcel Reed was 13 for 23, 2 touchdowns, was serviceable in the passing game. The thing with him is he's such an athlete. They have to defend his feet. You know, they can't just defend him as a passer.
I knew Marcel Reed was going to be good coming into this year because last year he kind of got thrown into the fire because he wasn't starting all year, but he still did really good against LSU in that big win they had at home before they lost on the road to South Carolina.
Yeah.
But I knew that you give that kid some more time to prepare because he was already a good runner. That was what made him really good last year.
He just got hit to get better in the pocket.
But now he's gotten better in the pocket.
Yeah, he's definitely
looking good.
Mm-hmm.
Couple more top 25 victories. I just wanted to go over. Number 20.
Who's A&M got next week?
They have Florida.
Okay, so these teams that like we're going to really get an idea of who some of these teams that we think are really good are in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Number 20, Michigan gets a good defensive victory over Wisconsin, 24-10.
Dude, Michigan's 4-1.
That game, dude, Michigan, Wisconsin's always a tough defensive slobber knocker. I mean, isn't
that the battle for the brown jug?
No, that's Michigan, Minnesota.
That's Michigan, Minnesota.
But whenever Wisconsin plays Michigan, like you never expect a bunch of points to be scored. Like that game's never going to go in like the 50s or the 40s. Like it's going to be tough. It's going to be low scoring. And you've always I know you're not a Wisconsin fan, but you've always kind of liked Wisconsin. You've always kind of liked how they play hard-nosed defense.
Yeah, I've always liked their attitude, like the way they play football. That Wisconsin's always kind of traditionally had stud backs and big freaking corn-fed offensive linemen that could just line up and freaking zone you to death and just like body on a body and
they just run ground and pound
you into the freaking submission. Yeah, I mean I've always loved the way Wisconsin can run the football.
This one kind of caught me by surprise a little bit. Number 21 Notre Dame beats Boise State 28-7. I wasn't expecting them to win by that much.
I thought Boise was going to be more competitive.
Yeah, and Boise State did better than I expected on the defensive side because I was expecting Notre Dame to score more, but I was expecting Boise State to score more as well. I was expecting this game to be like Notre Dame 38, Boise State 20 or 21. Like I was expecting it to be more like that. I wasn't expecting Notre Dame to shut down Boise State's offense as much as they did.
Well, plus Notre Dame had almost 400. I think they did have 400 yards of offense because Underwood rushed for 104, or Jeremiah Love rushed for 103 yards, and then CJ Carr threw for 190. So they were like close to 300 yards of total offense. I think, and I'm not like a Notre Dame homer. Trust me, I'm the first guy to say that they get overranked. But I think Notre Dame's a better football team than their record suggests right now.
They did have a tough 2-game start. They played
2 really good football teams at the beginning of the year.
Number 22 Illinois wins on the road 43-27 over Purdue. Ever since they got blown out by Indiana, they've been looking better. Still not a top 10 team, but they've been looking better.
Yeah, they're better.
And then number 24 Virginia still stays undefeated in conference play, winning on the road in overtime 30-27. Watch out for the Cavs, man.
5-1.
Tony Elliott's looking pretty good.
3-0 in the ACC right now.
Yeah.
All right, so let's look at this week moving forward. Do you want to do a top 25 rundown real quick?
Yep. Should we go? Would you rather go from?
Let's go 25-1.
25-1. All right, we will go 25-1. So coming in at number 25, Florida State, barely hanging in there after losing to Miami, losing their second straight. But since they made it a 1-score game and didn't give up, they stayed in the rankings. USF back in the rankings after a big win this past weekend, 4-1. Number 23, the first bowl-eligible team in college football, the Memphis Tigers at 6-0. Memphis is looking pretty good, man. They had that big win over Arkansas, and they haven't stepped down. They had a big win over Tulsa.
First time you've mentioned Memphis the entire year.
Although they deserve to be mentioned. They're the first bowl-eligible team, and they're 6-0. And
I'm not picking on them. I'm just making a statement of fact.
Oh, okay.
Like you have a Carolina Panthers shirt on and are drinking out of a Carolina Panthers cup.
Because we're winning the Super Bowl.
Okay, now we are not making statements. Moving on.
Number 22, Iowa State falling after losing to Cincinnati. Number 21, Arizona State, going 4-1. I think they had a bye week this past week, if I may call that correctly. Yes, they had a bye week. So
not to be associated with their sexual orientation.
Okay.
I just want to clarify.
They're on the road against Utah this week. Number 20, Vanderbilt. I like that. Don't make them fall too much because they competed for the most part. The score doesn't do the justice how close that game actually was throughout the way.
I think if Vanderbilt was a better program in terms of their who Vanderbilt is, they probably would not. They'd be ranked higher than 20.
Vanderbilt goes into a bye week and then they host LSU.
Well, I don't know. We'll see.
I'm not counting. I'm not counting Vandy.
I was going to say I'm not handing that one to LSU.
No. Who's that coming down the track at number 19? Virginia, the Cavs making their way into the top 20.
Go Hoos.
Oh, baby. Number 18, the Storm and Mormons, BYU, 38-24 win over West Virginia.
They are on a crusade.
Oh, man.
Yuck.
Number 17, Illinois at 5-1 after a road win over Purdue. Notre Dame, number 16 at 3-2 after winning their third straight, defeating Boise State. Number 15, Michigan after a good win over after a good win over Wisconsin. Number 14, Missouri at 5-0. They host Alabama this week.
That is one of the SEC tilts for Saturday.
We'll talk more about that game we get into the this week's slate.
That's going to be a big matchup.
Number 13, Georgia Tech after a bye week at 5-0. Number 12, Tennessee at 4-1. Number 11, LSU. Number 10, the Georgia Bulldogs making their way back into the top 10 after defeating Kentucky 35-14 with Savage College Football in attendance. By the way,
that must be why they made their way back in.
By the way,
Savage was there.
I want to give a shout out because I met a couple guys that supported the page for Kentucky and Georgia.
Did you have a field pass, a media pass?
No, I just met them after the game. Shout out to Alex McLaughlin, long snapper for the Cats. Quaysheed Scott, who's actually from South Carolina, played at Marion High School, DB.
Go Swamp Foxes.
And then for Georgia, wide receiver Noah Thomas, linebacker Raylan Wilson, cornerback Dalen Everett, and linebacker Terrell Foster.
Are they all Savage Squad members?
They are. They are indeed.
Love it.
And then number 9, Texas Tech after beating Houston big on the road. The Red Raiders in the top 10. I don't think they've been in the top 10 since Michael Crabtree was there.
It has been a minute. I don't think they have been.
But Texas Tech looks good, man. Alabama at number 8. Number 7, Indiana. Ooh, man. Dude, the Hoosiers are good. They had a bye week, but they look good, man. And they've got a big game this weekend. Guess where they play at? Oregon.
That's what I said. So a lot of these teams that are undefeated, not that they're not good, but they've had maybe 1 or 2 difficult games and they've played some of their patty cake games early. Those teams are going to get tested in the next 3 weeks because they're all going to get into their heart of the conference schedule, and just their schedules are going to put them up against good football teams. So we're going to get the wheat separated from the chaff in the next 3 weeks.
Number 6, Oklahoma, after Michael Hawkins Jr. led them to a 44-0 win over Kent State. Guess what's this week? The Red River rivalry. Texas and Oklahoma.
Dude, Texas could be lose 3 in a row.
That would be insane. And then at number 5, Texas A&M after an impressive victory over Mississippi State. Number 4, Ole Miss. I think this is Ole Miss's highest ranking since 2014.
I just hope they can keep it. Every time Lane Kiffin gets ranked really high, they seem like they get knocked off the next 2 weeks.
But they lose to someone they shouldn't lose to.
Right,
most
that's
of the
what I'm
time.
saying. It's never somebody really good. But I want Ole Miss to be. I love Lane Kiffin.
If I'm looking at Ole Miss,
I love that guy.
I'm looking at Ole Miss's schedule right now, and I think they only lose maybe at the most 2 games.
Who do they have left?
Washington State this weekend.
Win.
They're at the road at Georgia. Okay. I think Georgia can beat them.
That's a tough football game.
Then they're at the road at Oklahoma. On the road at Oklahoma.
Tough game.
They host South Carolina. They host the Citadel. They host Florida. Then they're on the road at Mississippi State. Mississippi State's not a gimme. I mean, they were bad last year and they competed with Ole Miss.
Nobody in the SEC is a gimme, honestly.
Especially on rivalry week, though.
Yeah. But those are Yeah, I mean, obviously the Oklahoma game and what was the other one?
Georgia.
The Georgia game are the two that you really put a circle around. So
Number 3, Oregon.
yes.
Number 2,
Yes. The
Canes.
The Canes.
And then at number 1, Ohio State, who honestly surprised me this past weekend because of how dominant they looked. They won 42-3 over Minnesota, and I wasn't expecting them to lose, but I thought it was more going to be like 28-10 or 28-13, something around that realm. Ohio State beat the crap out of them.
I think Ohio State's kind of a quiet number 1 right now because they haven't played like anyone super high profile in the last few weeks. They're not getting like the big airtime stuff, game day's not there. Like they're not getting these high profile games, but they're doing what the number 1 team should do. And that's they're not just beating people, they're dominating people the way they should dominate people. 2 notoriously missing teams from the top 25, Texas and Penn State both fell out of the top 25.
Who were preseason number 1 and number 2.
1 and 2 are not even in the top 25. You got to love college football.
Ohio State has probably their second hardest game this weekend. They're on the road at number 17, Illinois. And then obviously their hardest game is going to be at number 15, Michigan at the end of the season.
Yeah, which it kind of always is, right? Like Michigan,
the game, man.
It should be like that's one of the things I love is that Michigan's playing well, and the game is going to have relevance, which is awesome.
So, week 7, man, and it starts early.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to spend much time talking about this, but the first games are on Wednesday. Missouri State at Middle Tennessee, Liberty at UTEP. They're both on Wednesday.
It's that part of the season where we're starting to see Wednesday games. You'll see some Tuesday night action at some point.
I'm so ready for Tuesday night action. I'm ready for the time where
you got college football from Tuesday all the way to Saturday night.
Exactly. Like when you get close to Thanksgiving,
yeah,
you get college football 5 days out of the week, and then you just get football like 7 days a week because you've got college football Tuesday through Saturday, NFL Sunday, and then Monday Night Football on Monday, and then you got action on Tuesday, and you can run through the rest of the week with more football.
That's going to be hard for me to balance up against like hunting season here towards the end of the month because
you're going to have to find a way, man.
The rut's going to be kicking in. I'm going to be up in Missouri for like the last 2 weeks of the last week of October and then the first week of November. Hopefully, I'll shoot a buck early and I won't have to miss much. I won't have to rewatch anything.
Exactly. And then Thursday, October 9th, you got more Group of 5 action. Louisiana Tech at Kennesaw State, East Carolina at Tulane, Jacksonville State at Sam Houston, Southern Miss at Georgia Southern. October 10th on Friday, South Florida at North Texas. South Florida's 4-1. North Texas is 5-0, man, and it's at North Texas. That could be a trap game. I remember earlier in the year, North Texas blew Washington State out the water 59-10. Don't underestimate the mean Joe Green.
Well, South Florida just peeked their head back into the top 25 this week. Got the number 24 ranking with the Nittany Lions and
if you're
dropping out.
If you're just a college football fan, that could be a game to watch.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if you're not like looking for a big like kind of national profile game, that could potentially be a good football game.
And then on Friday, Rutgers at Washington, a little Big Ten tilt, Friday Night Lights. And then Fresno State at 5-1 on the road at Colorado State. Fresno State wins. They'll make a bowl game.
Yeah. Well, dude, there are some heavyweight tilts on Saturday.
Oh, I know.
Like, let me just give you a couple of so at noon, number 1 Ohio State plays number 17 Illinois at 5-1.
I'm expecting Ohio State to take care of that, but again, you can never expect anything anymore in college football.
This is one we just talked about a minute ago that I'm really excited about, and that's Alabama and Missouri on ABC on the noon game.
Dude, I cannot wait. Dude, you know what that's going to be?
Awesome.
It's going to be toting the rock like crazy because Missouri and Alabama know how to run the ball, rumbling, stumbling, bumbling. I can't wait to see how Ahmad Hardy does against that Tide defense, man. Ahmad Hardy is a
freaking stud. That guy can run the football, and Missouri knows how to put a body on a body and get after it. and Ty Simpson. Missouri's good on plays a good defense too, man.
Yeah,
like they're good on defense. So that is going to be a really interesting matchup.
Missouri is a really underrated team in the SEC right now because they're Missouri. I mean, they're not a super huge brand unless you live in Missouri.
Which one's going to be your highlight? Like I know you watch it on the Gamecast, but which one are you going to have the audio on? Or which, like if you had to pick one, if you didn't have the Gamecast, which game would you be? Yeah, would you have the Ohio State Illinois game on or the
Alabama Missouri?
Yeah, me too. Pitt Florida State's a game you can't look past.
No, because as I said, Florida State's lost 2 in a row. They're hoping to bounce back, but Pitt just came off a 48-7 victory over Boston College, and they had a freshman quarterback playing too. He's making his first college football start, and they put up 48 points. So, watch out for the Pitt Panthers, man. Pitt has been known. Mason Heinzel, I think that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah.
But Pitt has been known in the past to pull off some pretty big upsets. I mean, remember they beat number 2 or number 1 Clemson in 2016, and then they beat number 2 Miami the following year when Pitt didn't even make a bowl game that year. And so never count out the Pitt Panthers, man. Pat Narduzzi sometimes has some crazy magic against top 25
Well, he's
teams.
a heck of a. I mean, that guy was one of the best defensive coordinators in the country before he went to Pitt. So.
And in 2022, remember when they beat, or 2021, they beat Tennessee in Neyland in overtime.
That's true.
So
then there's a major heavyweight tilt at 3:30 on CBS. Number 7 Indiana puts her hand in the ground and lines up against number 3 the Oregon Ducks.
Oh man, dude, I'm over here just trying to keep myself contained in my seat.
That one's going to be a freaking like Donnybrook, man. I'm looking forward to watching like that one. What's the line on that? Oregon's 69.5%. Like choosing on
Oregon's
that.
favored by 7.5.
Yeah, Oregon's.
It's the battle for bowl eligibility. Winner goes 6-0.
They're giving Senate 7.5. I mean, dude, Mendoza is 89 for 122. He's got 16 touchdowns and 1 pick for Indiana.
I'm interested to see who that 1 pick was against. Actually, I'm gonna look.
But you know what? More over at Oregon, like he's like the same. He's 100 for 134. Dude, that's like a 78% completion percentage. He's thrown 4 touchdowns and 1 pick. Both those guys combined have 30 touchdowns and 2 interceptions.
Okay, I'm curious.
Like
just a little trivia.
That's
thing.
a freaking like matchup right there.
Just a little college football fun fact here. Okay,
Yeah.
Indiana's played Old Dominion, Kennesaw State, Indiana State, Illinois, and Iowa. Can you guess? Just one guess. Can you guess what Fernando Mendoza's 1 pick who was against?
Kennesaw State,
Iowa.
Okay,
that doesn't surprise me.
I thought it was going to be like the crappy team. That's why I thought you threw that in there.
Hey, don't disrespect Kennesaw State. They're starting off our week 7.
Sorry for Kennesaw State fans. My bad. Apologies.
Yeah, we have Kennesaw State players that probably listen to this podcast. I'm willing to bet. So,
what's their record right now?
3-2.
Okay, they're okay. They're not bad then.
And one of their losses was only a 10-9 loss to Wake Forest, and the other one was to Indiana. So they're undefeated.
So they've got 2 losses against big time talent. All right, take back my Kennesaw State statement. My bad.
You're a Kennesaw State apologist now.
Exactly. And then also at 3:30 on the ABC channel, a game that a few weeks ago we all had circled on our calendar.
I still have it circled because I'm nervous.
The Red River rivalry. Oklahoma takes on Texas.
Oh, that wasn't the game I thought you were going to bring up.
Yeah, dude. A few weeks ago, like I had this one. I mean, this is usually one of the premier games of the season. Like you would think, like we should potentially be looking at 2 undefeated football teams right now.
Should be.
And dude, Texas is still favored. They're giving 2.5 points.
Do you know why? Because Mateer's still out and Michael Hawkins is playing.
Right. But I mean, Oklahoma is 5-0. They have figured out how to win without Mateer for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Are you picking Texas in this game?
No. God, no.
Okay.
Definitely not.
I mean, listen, I'm not saying so. Texas could be sneaky, right? This could be one of those things where Texas has played like duty for a couple of weeks. Steve Sarkisian is an offensive guru. Like he's going to get back in that room this week and go, okay, we got to be able to figure out how to run the football. Like, what are we doing wrong? How can we run the football differently? What kind of sets do we have to get into? Like, what kind of things do we have to do differently to be able to run the ball? and try to figure some things out. So my guess is that the average person's going to be like, oh yeah, Oklahoma's going to smoke Texas. And I bet you it's going to be a pretty good football game.
I don't think they're smoking Texas,
Yeah.
but I do think they win.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good football game. And if Texas wins, then it's like, okay, now but this is what I said, like the next 3 weeks, we're going to get a lot of stuff sorted out because these undefeated teams are going to play some good football teams that may not be undefeated, but should still have a chance to beat them.
The game that I thought you were going to talk about, because I guess I got the time mixed up because I heard you say ABC.
Oh, you're
Georgia at Auburn.
The night game.
So the reason why this game strikes me, Jordan-Hare is a hard place to play on the road if you're a top 10 team.
Yeah, for
Georgia
sure.
has had struggles at Jordan-Hare in the last few years. Even if they won, it would be a close game. Now, if this game was at Sanford Stadium, it would be an automatic win because Auburn can't play on the road against Georgia. But when Auburn hosts Georgia fans have to sweat it out a little bit when they come out with a win.
I mean, Georgia's given 10.5 on this.
I'm taking Auburn to cover, man.
Are you?
Yes. And
okay.
Again, I'm a Georgia fan, but I'm realistic. I'm not one of those guys that thinks Georgia's going to go 17 or 16-0 every year and just beat the crap out of everybody.
You think Jake Arnold's going to show out?
No. I think they're going to run the ball well. I think Jackson Arnold might throw for 1 touchdown or rush for a touchdown, but I think he'll throw 2 or 3 picks.
I'll tell you one that I think is a little interesting, and this is probably just because I'm a hometown boy. But
I already know who you're about to say.
South Carolina is playing LSU
in
Baton Rouge. That's the advantage LSU right
The worst offense in the SEC versus a team that can't run the ball and a quarterback that loves to throw the ball to the other team 2 or 3 times a game.
Or who are you talking about?
South Carolina has statistically the worst offense in the SEC.
Oh, you're talking about a guy who wants to throw the ball to
Garrett
the other
Nussmeier.
team.
Because if you really look, he will throw the ball to the other team 2 or 3 times a game. But
he's definitely not playing at the level.
It's just not always a pick.
Yeah, he's not playing at the level that they expected him to play at the beginning of the game.
But you got to remember, Garrett Nussmeier coming into the year was hurt. He wasn't 100%.
Right.
And part of me is wondering if that is still bothering him.
If he's got something nagging him.
Yeah. I mean, obviously he's healthy. I'm not saying he's injured, but he could be hurt.
I think sometimes, like when I watch him, I think sometimes he presses.
Kind of like how Diego Pavia did.
Like I think sometimes he tries to make stuff happen because he's frustrated with like how they're performing on offense. And I think sometimes he pushes the ball into places he shouldn't push it and he gets impatient. And that's what causes that. But like you said, South Carolina's offense has been abysmal. They can't run the football to save their life. Their leading rusher.
Oh, but Mr. Wilson, they had 3 rushing touchdowns against Kentucky. Well, guess what? A, Kentucky's not very good.
Blows.
And B, the leading rusher had 48 yards.
Dude, their leading rusher after 5 games
is Lenore Sellers, right?
Well, I don't know if it's Lenore Sellers, but their leading rusher at running back has 163 rushing yards in 5 games.
Is it Rizul Faison?
Yeah. Like, what does that tell you? 163 yards
run the ball.
in 5 games. Like, they are terrible at running the football.
I would not be surprised if this game was like 13-3 or 13-6 because both offenses have been performing.
And South Carolina's pretty good on defense.
No, yeah, South Carolina has a good defense.
Like that's the thing. Nussmeier, like LSU's favored by 9.5, but South Carolina has a good defense. They're really good in the secondary. They got a couple really good defensive ends that can get after your ass. So this could be a difficult night for Nussmeier. Like he's not going to get a break, right? South Carolina's offense is terrible, and LSU's really good on defense, which is probably why the spread's 9.5. But Nussmeier's not going to like have a cakewalk. They're going to get after his butt. You
know what I'm really hoping I can see?
What?
If South Carolina beats LSU, I am going to be watching that press conference.
Oh, there will be some.
Or if LSU barely wins, I'll still watch.
There will be some bulging veins in Brian Kelly's neck. If
remember that picture that we've exchanged to each other where he's like slamming his fist on the table. You can see the veins popping out of his forehead.
Well, I can tell you from personal experience, playing in Baton Rouge at night is a different deal.
That was the last time Carolina won in Baton Rouge when you were coaching there.
On Thursday night back in 96 or something like that. That was the last time Carolina won in Baton Rouge.
Yes.
It's like 29 years ago.
I let me check to be sure, but I'm pretty sure
Holy
that was.
cow.
Let me just look. But while I'm looking, tell the people that are listening the
Tell the
story
story. Okay.
of how that happened.
This was the ESPN Thursday night game of the week. This was back before like they played games on Friday nights. They played games on Wednesday and Tuesday. Like there was one game on Thursday. It was a huge marquee game. We were both pretty good. We weren't like nationally ranked, but we were both heading for a bowl game that year. And so we had a night game on Thursday night in Baton Rouge. It was like muggy and starting to rain. So it was super humid. I think it was like 86 degrees. It was freaking hot. As we came in on the buses into the stadium.
Oh, before you say it,
yeah.
On 5 days ago was the 31-year anniversary since you guys won that game.
Is that the last win? Is that the last time South Carolina's won in Baton Rouge?
It's the last time South Carolina's beaten LSU, period.
Really?
Yes.
31 years ago?
Yes.
Okay, so it was 94 then. It wasn't 96.
It was 94.
Okay.
October 1st, 94.
Gotcha. All right.
Keep going.
So the buses obviously go slow. Like, so LSU, this is one of the things LSU does when you come into their stadium. The fans line up in the parking lot to yell at the visiting buses that are coming into the stadium. Like you don't just kind of like blow in there and unload. So the fans are all lined up and they actually like get in the way. So the cops have to like move them out of the way. They're stacked like 10 deep and they start rocking the bus. Like literally the bus is going like a mile an hour and the fans are on both sides of the bus and the bus starts rocking back and forth because the freaking fans are like pushing on it. The cops have to get in there. The state troopers have to get in there, peel the freaking drunk ass Louisiana State fans off the bus. Because at this point they are freaking hammered beyond freaking recognition.
Because that's what LSU does.
Oh, that's because that's what LSU does, man. You put a night game in LSU.
This was a night game, right? Yeah, it was Thursday.
It was a Thursday night game, 7:30. They're hammered out of their ass on Thursday night in Baton Rouge. So we finally get to the, like literally, we thought the bus was going to tip over at one point because it was like rocking like crazy. Cops finally get the people off the bus. They go off. They drop us off. You go into the visitors' locker room. The visitors' locker room is painted pink. I think I don't know if it still is, but for a long time it was painted pink. And I think it still is. So everyone's like, why do they paint it pink? Basically just to piss you off, right? To make it feel intimidating, to feel like
they're viewing you as like baby
to make it feel
or...
like you're like a little, like their little, wussy that they're going to freaking spank. And then the last thing is they take Mike the Tiger and they park him right outside the visitor's locker room in his cage. Now, it was raining, and so he had been outside on the field, and he was wet. And you know what a wet freaking cat smells like? Multiply that times freaking 10 because it's a wet tiger.
And he's also pissed.
And he's sitting outside. He's sitting outside the locker room, like going, like growling and stuff.
It's probably scary.
And he stinks, dude. He freaking stinks. So our locker room literally was pink, and it smelled like wet cat. And he's in there like growling. We could not wait to get on the field because it was just so miserable. It was hot. It was stuffy. The air conditioning didn't work in the locker room either. It was like 80-something degrees. And it ended up being a really good. I think we beat him by like 3 points. It was a tough game. I have the
score pulled up. You won 18-17.
Yeah. Did we kick a field goal like close to the end, I think, to win it, if I remember?
I don't have the play-by-play isn't available, but that's probably how you won.
It was a freaking barn burner, man. And when we won that game, oh man.
I can imagine how that feeling was. Like it was like you against the world.
That was a huge win. That was like the year. So we went, South Carolina had never won a bowl game in their history. That year we went to the CarQuest Bowl, which is now the Outback Bowl, and that was the first bowl game that South Carolina had ever won.
And you beat West Virginia.
And we beat West Virginia. But that game was one of the keys to getting us into the bowl game. That was a game we weren't supposed to win.
Was that your favorite game that you coached in college football?
Like ever? It's probably up there. Yeah, there was a couple other ones that were really, like the bowl game was a great.
Oh yeah,
that win against West Virginia was
that was historic for the school.
Yeah, that was a big one. And then like there were a couple games that just like coaching in that we lost, but you look back at them and go, like when we were like the first time we went to Neyland Stadium, we played Peyton Manning. Like Peyton Manning was still the quarterback.
Didn't they torch you?
Oh, they smoked us. Yeah. But then we had one game where we played actually really good against them. And I think they beat us by like 8 points, but it was the year that they won the national championship with T. Martin.
Oh, wait. How about the game when you guys played at Georgia and you scored that touchdown in 30 seconds? And Don Munson is, or not Don Munson. I forgot his name. Is it Larry Munson?
Larry Munson.
He's on the call because y'all are going no huddles. The clock's still going. Lay down, you guys. Lay down.
3, 2, 1. And they go up and over and break our heart to death. That was one of the best games I was involved in too, because we literally went up and over the top with the clock expiring to win the game.
I bet that was an amazing.
That was a huge.
It's always the road games that when that happens, it's almost like a road win where that happens is better than it happening at home.
Yeah, and then we had one game that we won on the road against Clemson at Clemson, and Tannehill signed the field.
Oh yeah,
that one was a great one too.
So I don't know if I ever told you this. You might know this, but when I was in college, for those that don't know, I went to the University of South Carolina. I graduated from there in May. At one of the bars, because in college
at Tannehill's,
you would go out to the bars. It was CB18 on the sign. It's got the picture of him standing in the
like this,
where he's like got his arms.
Where he's got his arms out like
signs.
this.
Yeah.
That was, oh man. The next year they were like out for blood when they came to our place, and I can't remember. We got into a huge fight with them on the field one year. I think it might have been the next year, but. Those are the big ones. The LSU win, the Georgia like up and over win, and then the Tannehill sign in the field win at Clemson. That was a big win. So, yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah. Did I miss? Oh wait, there was one game that I did miss that I wanted to bring up because it just looked like an interesting game. Where was it? Oh Lord, I'm trying to find it. Give me like 2 seconds.
Well, while you're talking about it, I would say a couple other ones that I'm not even going to dive into. I'm just going to mention them. But at 7:30, also Michigan plays USC. They're both 4-1.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one that I think is interesting is Texas A&M, Florida at 7 p.m. Even though Florida's 2-3,
the last time they played at Kyle Field 4-1,
and they're playing significantly better than they have been the beginning of the season. They just came off of a huge win, and they're going to be feeling like, okay, we're a team on the rise. And they're, like you said, they're really good on defense. DJ Lagway's coming off of a really big performance. This is not a gimme for Texas A&M.
No,
it's at Kyle Field, which is good for them, but
it's going to be how they perform and how they run the ball, because we both know, and despite Florida's 2-3 record, we still know after 5 games of football that Florida's got a really good defense.
Yeah, that is the question, because I think, if I'm Florida, I'm sure they're going to do this too. Texas A&M is a juggernaut running the football. They're going to say, okay, Marcel Reed, you got to beat us with your arm. Now, the hard part is it's hard enough to stop a really good running football team, but when you have a quarterback that can run,
that just opens your playbook.
That's an
even
extra
more.
Runner. Yeah, it's really hard to defend against a really good back and a good quarterback. And then you start doing that. That means you got to walk an extra guy up in the box. And now, Marcel Reed can actually take advantage of him throwing the ball. So I think probably what you're going to see, Florida's going to sell out on stopping the run. And then the question is, can Reed take advantage of that in the passing game?
Yeah, because if you've got pocket passers, you can drop more guys into coverage. But if you've got a guy like Marcel Reed, that means you're going to have 1 or 2 spies because of how fast the kid is.
Yep, you're going to at least have a linebacker spying, which puts you in a bad situation in coverage. So you've got to change your coverage to accommodate for that guy spying the quarterback.
These are a couple Big 12 games that I wanted to mention, because these games, if you just look at them, they have some potential to cause some chaos. Number 18 BYU at 4-1 Arizona. Arizona's only loss is to Iowa State, but Arizona has looked a lot better than they did last year, and they've been performing pretty well. You got to wonder if this could be a trap game for BYU, because Arizona is probably not going to come into this game taking them lightly, and it's at 8:00 at Arizona. And then the other one, number 21 Arizona State at Utah. I feel like ever since Utah lost that one game at Texas Tech, people were thinking, okay, maybe we shouldn't have ranked Utah in the first place. But now it just looks like Texas Tech's a really good football team. Utah's still got a good defense, and Utah's a hard place to play on the road. And Arizona State, a lot of the times when they become ranked, they lose a game they shouldn't lose. And this could be that game. And so you got to lock in if you're Arizona State, and you've got to accord kind of for the same thing as Marcel Reed. You got to accord for Devin Dampier, because he's also a mobile guy that can run the ball.
Yeah, I mean Dampier, and he's also got 11 touchdowns, for the season so far.
Yeah, he can pass it.
Yeah, Levitt's a little bit more over on the Arizona State side. He's got 3 picks, 8 touchdowns. So Arizona State leans a lot more on their rushing game. Brown's got over 500 yards rushing in the first 5 games. So he'll tote the rock on you. Like you said, it's going to be an interesting game. Utah's given 4.5 on this. What's your pick?
Oh, for me, it says they're favored 5.5.
Oh, really?
What are you looking at? This must have just changed.
I'm looking at the ESPN's sports book.
That's what I'm looking at too.
Yeah.
So it literally must have just changed in the last few minutes.
I'm on a laptop. Well, let's see. Hold on. Yeah, it is 5.5. The open is 4.5.
Oh, okay. So
yeah.
it must have just changed.
Yeah, you're right. Okay.
I don't know, man. Are you going to pick Utah there? This is going to be a low scoring game, in my opinion. Arizona State has a solid defense, but Utah's got a really good defense.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick Utah, and I'm gonna pick them to cover too.
I feel like people are when they look at Utah, they only think about that Texas Tech game. But with how good Texas Tech has been,
yeah,
that's not a bad loss. I mean, you shouldn't get blown out at home, but it's not bad that you lost to Tech because Tech looks really good.
Yeah, it's a good week of college football. Like we said, there's a lot of really good games coming up. Maybe not like. There are some national games where it's like, there's not a number 1 against a number 4, but there are a lot of top 10 teams playing top 25 teams that could beat them.
The last trap game that I just wanted to mention is Texas Tech hosting Kansas. Kansas has looked good offensively. I mean, they've competed with teams like Missouri, who's done really good. Obviously, Missouri's a number 14 team, undefeated. And Kansas made a game with them, and people think, well, it was a 2-score game. What people don't understand is that Missouri scored that touchdown to go ahead by double digits with like end. 2 or 1 minute left when Kansas was just trying to stop them and stop the clock. And I feel and that touchdown was by Ahmad Hardy too. So that was just a really good play. Ahmad Hardy in the end zone is not a foreign concept.
No, Ahmad Hardy is a freaking man.
If Kansas is going to beat Texas Tech, they've got a really mobile quarterback in Jalen Daniels, and Daniels has been there since 2020, so a very experienced 5th-year guy or a 6th-year guy because he's been medical redshirted too because of an injury. So I'm not saying that Texas Tech is going to lose that game, but keep your eye on that game. Kansas can compete, and they've competed with top 10 teams with Daniels at the helm.
Yeah, that's a good call. All right, so it's going to be a good week. As always, thanks for being here, everybody. Appreciate you jumping in.
We will be back here next week. And again, glad to know that our college football week starts early on a Wednesday now. Even though the games
keeps getting earlier every week.
Even though the games aren't super big, college football is better than no college football.
That's right, man.
Thank you guys for listening, and we will be back here next week coming at you with another episode of the Savage College Football Podcast.
Yeah, appreciate y'all jumping on. Enjoy your college football weekend.
Enjoy it.